Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
She would show her love for him through actions. Even if she had to keep waiting, she would not regret the decision to do so. With that being said, she turned around to leave the scene. After merely taking 3 steps forward, she turned her head to glance at the handsome man, who stood under the lights, with heavy hearts. Every part of him was radiating charms that enchanted her and captivated her heart firmly. In the meantime, Ruka was eating absent-mindedly while thinking of the woman's words. What does she mean by "is it her"? Is she talking about me? At that moment, the door was pushed open and Ren entered the room. She quickly stood up to welcome him. Has the lady left? Mr. Ren, is she planned to gush about the lady. She's my colleague, he answered straightforwardly. She seems to like you a lot, stated Ruka cautiously. He cast his gaze onto her as she pursed her lips almost instantly. Peeking at the grumpy man, she figured that it would be wise to not pry further. Suddenly, the air of tension spanned in the room. As she lowered her head and stuffed herself to keep her cool, someone placed a shrimp onto her plate. It turned out that she was so distracted that she forgot to take some dishes for herself. So, the man added more onto her plate. Ren let out a silent sigh. She's Victoria Parfait, the chief of the translation department. You'll be working for her after this. Ruka raised her head abruptly. She will be my supervisor in the future? Yep. He nodded as the fact that Ruka would be Victoria's subordinate occurred to him. I should have addressed her properly. I sounded impolite. She slumped into a dismay. It's not a big deal. Don't stress about it, Ren comforted Ruka. She pursed her lips into a smile. Okay. I'll relax. Now that he was in a better mood, she seized the chance to voice out her curiosity. Miss Parfait looked at me and questioned whether I was her. What does that mean? Did she take me as someone else? He suddenly stopped chewing as his intense gaze landed upon her visage. She got the wrong person. Did she mistake me as your crush? I think I should explain our relationship to her. Ruka, Ren brusquely called her name in a husky voice. Ruka lifted her head at him in response. What's wrong? Once you start working in the translation department, keep in mind not to address me as Mr. Ren in front of others. There's no need to reveal our relationship. All right. I'll address you as Mr. Hassan. She giggled. I don't like addressing you like you're my uncle either. It sounds like you're old. You're a better fit as my brother. A flicker of delight fleeted across his eyes. Really? Am I not old to you? Nah, you look 27 at most. You're young and very handsome, she praised, eliciting a smile on Ren's lips and the appealing and sexy dimple. After dinner, the atmosphere seemed to have loosened up along the drive back to Hassan residence while he inquired about her life studying abroad. Influenced by her parents since young, Ruka loved translating and she wished she could contribute to the country like how her parents had. Due to the stone's throw, it took them less than 15 minutes to arrive outside Hassan residence. She asked Ren whether he wanted to have tea for a while, after which he shook his head in reply. I gotta settle some work. Work is important, but do not forget to take care of your health, Ruka advised with a serious expression while bending over. Next, she flashed a pristine smile at him. See you. Head in, he urged her as he would only leave after watching her entering the house. Ruka nodded and bypassed the small gate with light footsteps before craning her neck to check if he was gone. The adorable countenance was that of an angel and fairy under the illuminating lights, causing the once tranquil heart beat rapidly. After waving at him, she shut the door and entered the house before Ren's car slowly drove away. In the back seat, the streetlights shone upon the man's attractive face. There was a faint smile across his lips, indicating his good mood. At the same time, Angela was working on the balcony in her apartment while waiting for Richard. He left the place for an errand and had not returned yet. She stared at the myriads of twinkling lights of the city with a gentle gaze. There was a change in her temperament as merriment radiated from her inside out. It was because her heart was filled to the brim with love and firmly held in the man's hands. People said that one should love their partner 70% and leave the remaining 30% to themselves as a safety precaution. It would not cut that deep if they were abandoned one day. However, she thought otherwise and was not afraid to give all of her to Richard, for she knew that her man would not let her lose in love. It was then she heard a noise outside and turned around to see the incoming man at the entrance. With a smile, Angela took over his shirt, but before she could hang it, he gave her a big hug. She initially thought she was the only one awfully missing him during the short separation. Yet, she now knew that Richard equally missed her, judging from how tight and domineering the embrace was. He trailed her forehead to her lips with kisses, leaving her no time to hang up his clothes. "You should take a shower." She pushed him away. "It's late." "I wanted to come back early, but I had dinner with Grandpa." "I'm not blaming you. I'm not worried one bit." Angela smiled. "What did you have for dinner?" Richard inquired caringly. I've asked my assistant to send over some cereal." "I'm on a diet," she answered naturally. As soon as she finished her words, he held her waist to measure it by spanning his hands. "You don't need a diet. You're perfect as you are. Just quit it. I like you even if you're 10 pounds heavier." Angela burst into laughter. "I don't want to be 10 pounds heavier. I mainly want to look good in the wedding dress, so I'm on a diet as early as possible. I want to look the way I want on one of the most important days of my life." "It is still a no. To me, you look great regardless." Richard Princess carried her with ease. "I like it when you're fit and healthy." Angela wrapped her arms around his neck and pecked his cheek. "Roger that, honey." He put aside his jacket before taking a shower. She failed to finish her work due to her absent mind, but since he had returned home, she could focus on the documents. While she was busy perusing them, a phone rang. She took a glimpse at hers, which did not buzz a sound. The ringing sound could be trailed from the jacket, so she reached out to take Richard's phone. Looking at the caller ID, she realized that it was his grandfather calling and became slightly jittery. "Hello, Grandpa." "Oh, Angela. Is Richard there with you?" "He's home not long ago. He's in the shower right now." "Is there anything urgent?" she asked. "Nothing," Philip responded before heaving a sigh. "Angela, I've talked to him about something earlier, but he disagrees with my idea. So, I want to speak with you." "Sure, you may go on." Considering Richard's career, I wish the wedding to be a simple one with a gathering between the two families instead of a public ceremony. Richard doesn't see eye to eye with it because he wants to hold an ordinary wedding for you. That's why our ideas clashed. Angela stunned for a moment before comforting, "Grandpa, I'm okay without a wedding. You don't have to stress about this. I'll speak to him about it, so please don't worry." "Angela, I hope that you'll understand. I'm worried about his safety. He's working for the military and there's many factors that can put his life in danger. I've lost my son and I can't afford to lose my grandson anymore." He could feel the lump in his throat while recounting. Obviously, he was upset by the dispute he had with his grandson. "Grandpa, I understand. I hope you don't take it to heart and be upset about it for long. You're the most important person to him. Look, I'll discuss it with him. I'm totally fine with a simple wedding. Of course, I don't want to expose him in public and put him in danger either." Philip was comforted by her understanding. Angela, thank you for understanding. It must be hard for you to accept this. Every girl wants a grand wedding, but we can't do that for you due to Richard's job. I will make sure that he compensates for it through other means. Grandpa, I'm all right without a wedding. To me, nothing matters more than being with him. Okay. I'll leave it to you then. Don't worry, you can trust me with this. Please get some early rest. After terminating the call, she looked at the second floor instinctively. She was aware that Richard quarreled with Philip because of the conversation they shared about the wedding. He wished to hold a wedding for her, and thus the guilt she was feeling right now. Indeed, it was inattentive of her. His job came with a huge risk, and canceling the wedding ceremony was a form of protection for him. Furthermore, not having a wedding meant nothing to her at all. So what if I can't wear a wedding dress? That means I don't need to be on a diet anymore. Angela smiled, but her heart ached at the thought of him agitating Philip because of her. Angela stood up and went upstairs. Hearing the sound of running water in the bathroom, she sat down by the bed as she waited for him. At last, Richard emerged from the bathroom with only a gray towel wrapped around his waist. He froze for a moment when he noticed her by the bed before asking, "What's wrong?" "Come on, take a seat. I have something to tell you," Angela told him solemnly. Perplexed, the man sat next to her obediently. "Did you talk to Grandpa about our wedding, Carlier?" she inquired, maintaining the solemn atmosphere. "Did Grandpa call you?" Richard sighed before continuing, "I want to give you an ordinary, traditional wedding." Angela encircled his shoulders and raised her head at him. "Let's just skip the wedding. We can simply have a meal with both our parents. It's okay even if we don't get the marriage certificate. Let's just live this way. I don't want to be a burden and a source of liability for you. I want you to stay powerful and indestructible forever." "Yep, that's right. From the moment I agreed to marry him, I am inherently agreeing to become his liability. The greatest mission of his life is to protect this very country. It's only natural that I sacrifice anything for him. Angela, do you know how much I love you?" The man embraced her into a tight hug. "I know, and that's the only thing that matters. Everything else is secondary." She smiled as she pressed against his chest before adding, "I only want you. I only want to give you what you deserve." Richard felt sorry for her. He had failed to provide a wedding ceremony for a lady like her, who was raised with love and wealth from a young age. He could not help but feel terribly guilty. "Growing up, I've had everything I desire, but there's only one of you in this world and I don't want to risk losing you. Please contact Grandpa. Otherwise, I'm afraid the old man won't be able to sleep tonight. Hurry." "Thank you, Angela," Richard said as he kissed her forehead. "I'm hungry, will you join me for supper later?" she inquired coquettishly. "Of course," lovingly he said. Richard went downstairs and dialed Philip's number before informing of everything, allowing the old man to finally catch a breath of relief. With that, Angela had changed into her outing clothes and went out with her man for supper. At a bar where gangsters hung around all year, Andy brought his two buddies here to get drunk tonight as he was severely irritated, thanks to his job. Initially, he was making a lot of money and he could even earn millions per year by relying solely on rebates. As a result, he was filled with reluctance and dissatisfaction when he lost his job. "You know I've always had your back, right?" Andy inquired, hands on his two buddies' shoulders. "Now that I'm in trouble, would you mind doing me a favor?" "Go ahead, Andy." "I'm determined to teach that mother and daughter a lesson. I want them to understand that I, Andy Graham, am not easily intimidated by anyone. Furthermore, I was trampled under the feet by that B*TCH's boyfriend last time, so that is an insult that will never be washed away in this lifetime. I must exact my vengeance. Andy, we understand how you feel. We need to show them how powerful you are. Angela is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. When you kidnap her, you must at least have some fun with her. Or else, you'd just be living in regret. Really? How lovely is she? Let me show you a picture. Andy took out his phone after finishing his speech and scrolled to a candid photograph of Angela's meeting taken by an employee. She sat there in a gray suit, looking beautiful, elegant, and full of aura under the spotlights. She made men fall in love with her at first sight. The two men next to Andy were drooling. Although they frequented bars and clubs, the girls there were beautiful but not extravagant. Angela, on the other hand, exuded the aura of a wealthy lady that ordinary beauties did not possess. Kidnap her and torment her. Consider this my way of venting my rage. No worries. This is something we've done before. Yeah. Who knows, we might be able to take advantage of her. It's time for us to devour some high-end delicacies. Andy's heart froze as the image of Angela's boyfriend flashed through his mind. He would never reveal to these two idiots that she had a powerful boyfriend. Okay, now it's entirely up to you. Let me act on it tomorrow. All right, Andy. I'll call you after I kidnap her and you can come over to have some fun as well. Okay, Andy sneered. Early in the morning. At the head office of the translation department, Victoria was suffering from insomnia last night, despite getting all drunk and confessing her love to Ren last night. It was because of that confession, which brought her consciousness back to the forefront as she realized how heartbroken she was upon seeing a young girl next to him last night. What's the relationship between the Ruka chick and Ron? Meanwhile, her assistant had sent a stack of documents into her room while stating, "Miss Parfait, this is the newcomer's profile for the appointment next week. Please review and sign if there are no problems." Oh, by the way, the assistant continued, there were originally 6 interns, but an intern named Ruka was added into the mix. Victoria raised her head abruptly and looked at the assistant. Ruka? Who added her? She exclaimed. It was Simon who called. If you have any questions, please direct them to him, Miss Parfait. Victoria quickly flipped through the documents and noticed a youthful photograph of Ruka on the last page. Suddenly, she understood the situation. Ren appears to be the person who assigned Ruka to the translation department. Though he is usually strict and his attitude at work is even stricter, I can't believe he actually backdoored Ruka. Victoria carefully read through Ruka's family background and noticed that her parents both worked for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Among the interns, she was thought to come from a middle-class family as almost every other intern had a more impressive background than she did. What distinguishes Ruka as a candidate for this position? How could Rin give her a special treatment? Victoria had a sudden epiphany and decided to dial Ren's phone number. She would never pass up a chance to contact him. Hello, Ren's low, magnetic voice spoke up. Did you get Ruka a job in the translation department, Ren? Why didn't you inform me? I would have looked after her had you told me earlier, Victoria said jokingly. You don't need to pay special attention to Ruka. Let her do things to the best of her abilities, he responded calmly. No. I will definitely take good care of her because of our relationship. Oh, right. What is your relationship with her? You didn't make it clear last night. Is she someone you genuinely like? There was a hint of envy in her tone. She's just a junior. There's nothing special about our relationship, he elaborated. Ron, are you available tonight? As an apology for what happened last night, I'd like to treat you to a meal. I'm too preoccupied today. Let's take a rain check. Goodbye. Ron was the first to hang up the phone. Biting nervously on her red lips, Victoria could not take her eyes off the girl in the profile as a tinge of jealousy flashed across her eyes. How could she not be jealous? She had loved Ren for 5 years and had gone almost insane for him. Not only had she squandered her youth for him, but all she got in return was avoidance and cold shoulders from Run. As his position became more powerful, he was even more unattainable. Early in the morning, Angela received a phone call from Daphne, who was going to the hospital today. As such, Angela would need to sign some documents on behalf of her mother. Under usual circumstances, Angela would only go to the company if there were matters to be handled. However, she arrived at the office on time at 9:30 a.m. today. Daphne's office was overflowing with paperwork that needed to be reviewed and signed. Although Angela had not yet taken over her mother's daily tasks, she was handling them well. After all, she had previously spent a year in business school. Despite the fact that she did not graduate, she did take the year of classes seriously. In the meantime, a male employee was secretly watching her behind the pillar outside the office. "Angela is in the company," he reported, lowering his head to send a text message. "Please keep an eye on her for me and contact me as soon as she heads out alone." The other party delivered a voice message authoritatively. Fear could be seen on the employee's face. He used to be Andy's confidant, but now he had become his informant instead, peering over Angela's shoulder and ready to strike. Angela finished her work and realized it was nearly 11 a.m. when her phone rang. She smiled as she answered the call. "Hey. Are you here yet? Come on down." "I'm in the underground parking garage," said Richard. "All right, give me 5 minutes." Angela hung up the phone, called her assistant, and went over some important documents with the assistant before departing with her bag. When the spy employee noticed her leaving with her bag, he quickly hid in a dark corner and dialed Andy's number. "Hello, Mr. Graham. Angela is making her way to the underground parking garage. Follow her to see if she's going to the gate or the underground parking lot." Andy gave an order. The elevator door was just about to shut before Angela when it was stopped by an employee, whom she raised her eyes at. "I'm sorry, Miss Myers," the employee apologized with a smile. "It's okay," she replied calmly. As the employee noticed Angela pressing the elevator button to the underground parking lot, he lowered his head to send another text message. "She's going to the underground parking lot." He then exited the elevator on the 7th floor so as not to cause any troubles. Since Angela was preoccupied with work matters in her head, she did not regain her senses until the elevator came to a halt. She elegantly stepped out of the elevator, looked at her car, and walked in the opposite direction. In the black off-road vehicle, Richard's eyes were as sharp as a leopard while staring at the girl approaching him. All of a sudden, 2 shadowy figures appeared from behind her. "What?" Richard's eyes narrowed as he was pushing the door open and sprinting toward Angela with his slender legs the next second. When she saw the handsome man with tension on his face, she was taken aback. "Wait for me in my car," Richard told Angela quietly. "What about you?" She was surprised. "I have some business to take care of." "Get into the car," he instructed as he patted her on the back.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.